Hey guys, Stan the Man here. Today is Randy Orton's 20th anniversary of wrestling in the WWE. So I figured today I'd just do like a little history video of how Orton's become what he has and how far he's made it and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get right into this. So Orton made his debut in 2002 against Hardcore Holly. Wasn't that great of a wrestler, but good enough for Randy Orton to beat in his debut match. Pretty much like a lot of guys' debut, they just have matches with kind of basic guys. Randy's won, lost, kind of half and half. But it honestly didn't take long for Randy to go against people in his early matches, just such as Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Like, yeah, they were squash matches, but I mean, it's still kind of really incredible thinking that Randy Orton went against people like Brock Lesnar and Undertaker in his first month of WWE. I remember Vince was pissed at Taker because he was actually letting Orton do moves on him, which a lot of that ended up being cut off of TV. But yeah, that was around Randy's first few months in WWE. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of superstars, Randy really hurt his shoulder and ended up being out and had to get surgery. But luckily for him, WWE decided to let Randy just do promos every week of his shoulder injury, which were basically really cringe videos of Randy being like, my elbow or shoulder is 20% healed. The next week, it's 32% healed. So people were still able to hate him, and he was able to gain heat while he was injured. So he was able to still gain momentum even while he was injured. A couple weeks before Randy returned to the ring from his injury, on WWE TV, there ended up being promos of this new group, Evolution, coming out. Mark Jindrak is in there. He didn't end up being in there, but that's besides the point. There ended up being promos and stuff like that. But eventually, when the time was ready, Triple H walked down to the ring with Flair, Orton, and Batista. Basically talked a bunch of good stuff about them, saying they're the future of this business. This is the best definition of evolution. And pretty much Triple H took Batista and Orton under their wing. Not really that long after the group formed, Flair and Batista were already tag team champions, and Orton was the Intercontinental Champion, pretty much just gaining momentum, becoming a good dominant faction. Now, throughout this, a lot of the point of Evolution was for the guys to protect Triple H, but they were able to do it good enough so it didn't only look like they were doing that. Like, the Orton and Batista could still have matches on the side and not just look like they're fighting for Triple H and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's how that ended up the first couple months. Like I was saying just before this in the video, about them just fighting for Triple H. It seemed WWE wanted to prove that Orton could do that. So he started a rivalry with Mick Foley. It was just all hardcore matches, stuff like that. Randy getting his ass whipped by Mick Foley, but in the end, showing Randy Orton coming out victorious of the rivalry, showing that Randy Orton doesn't need the other guys to help. And they were hardcore matches, and none of Evolution really ever got involved to help Randy, so Randy could prove that he was a good superstar on his own, too. So a few months shortly after that, Randy Orton ends up getting his World Heavyweight Championship shot at SummerSlam against Chris Benoit. I mean, just like any match, it was a good championship match. Orton became the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in history. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about this match, really, because, of course, the unfortunate events that happened with Chris Benoit. But, you can't take it away that Randy Orton became the youngest World Heavyweight Champion, kind of showing, still in Evolution at the time, just showing that he's a top star now. The next night on Raw, Randy's having his title celebration with Evolution, of course, in the infamous Batista holding Orton on his shoulders, Triple H with the thumb down. and they beat the living hell out of Orton, pedigree him, and pretty much kick him out of Evolution, showing that we're done with you, we don't need you anymore. Basically, Randy Orton wasn't ready for the championship. He only had it for about a month, not very long. The next month, he went against Triple H at the next pay-per-view, and Triple H just took the belt off of him just because wasn't that experienced. It wasn't really working well, and that was the end of Randy Orton's first World Heavyweight Championship title reign. So pretty much once that was done, it was almost like he was ready to be out of Evolution and be a single star, which started the Legend Killer gimmick, which is Randy Orton just defeating, destroying all sorts of legends, such as Sergeant Slaughter, spitting in the face of Harley Race, RKOing Mae Young, Ric Flair, just pretty much destroying just innocent older legends that can't really do anything. Randy Orton just disrespecting, trying to show his heelness in him and how he could work with the character. So pretty much after he established himself as the Legend Killer, there was the one legend that he hadn't beaten yet, and that was The Undertaker. So he ended up fighting him at WrestleMania 21, of course, with the streak on the line. Randy Orton did insanely good in the match, a lot of defense, reversals, and stuff like that, but of course, in the end, The Undertaker came out with the victory, but still showed Orton could be a star. Now, after that, for months, on and off, it was just the mind games with Orton, scaring him, showing up in his head. They ended up having a whole bunch of crazy matches, such as casket matches and stuff like that, lighting caskets on fire. And then one of the last matches they had was at 2005 in Hell in a Cell, where, again, Randy lost, I believe, all the matches in this rivalry, but damn, it showed that he could work and was really a good-ass superstar. He also had his dad, Bob Orton, help him through it, so it was a good time. He really started getting his status up more, showing that he could possibly be in the title spot again. Now, again, he continued with the Legend Killer thing until like 2006, late 2007, where he went against Shawn Michaels. He actually got a lot of momentum from that. He ended up punting Shawn, which kept him on the shelf for a while. So that was good, him just showing the legend thing. But eventually that started getting a little stale, so he joined up with Edge, which was rated RKO. At that time, DX was one of the top teams, and they both had that hatred for him. So, I mean, they, like many other teams, they won championships, beat the hell out of DX. They actually, Triple H ended up tearing his quad in the match, which kind of ended up proving their point, which was cool, that they wanted to do everything they could to end DX. They did a lot of, like, comedic things, like rated RKO dressing up as HBK and Triple H and stuff like that. But, of course, Triple H ended up getting hurt and put on the shelf, so that team ended up ending. Now, in 2008 is kind of when Randy started becoming the man. He was the WWE champion. He went against people like Jeff Hardy at the Royal Rumble. But pretty much all of 2008 was Randy Orton, Triple H, and John Cena. Not all triple threat matches. That just so happened that they ended up crossing their paths many times. But for the majority of that year, Randy Orton was on top as the WWE champion. Now, 2009 came along, and Randy was really proving that he was a monster heel. He punted Vince McMahon, punted Shane McMahon. Then the next week, he DDT'd Steph and also hit her with an RKO. Now, just quick on these guys. You see them in some of the pictures. Rhodes and DiBiase. It was kind of Randy Orton's evolution in a way. Just protecting him, making sure he's on top like that. So, yeah, that's who those guys are. So then, of course, Orton screwing with Triple H's family. So He ends up going against him at WrestleMania, where Triple H ends up getting the victory, but it was a good match, but would have been better if it was no DQ. He did the sledgehammer behind the ref's back, but the next pay-per-view, Orton ended up winning the championship back, and the next year of 2009, that's pretty much all of what happened, and they finally ended that after about a year. Then we just fast forward to 2013, where Randy cashes in on Daniel Bryan, becomes Triple H's guy, ends up facing Cena at the end of the year, unifying the titles. Randy Orton becomes the man, he's the undisputed champion. He ends up holding those belts all the way until WrestleMania 30 in a triple threat, where he goes against Daniel Bryan and Batista, where he ends up dropping the belt and beginning a new part of his career. Pretty much from that point forward, he was helping a lot of talents, such as Seth Rollins, guys like Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, facing newer guys even, or with new gimmicks such as The Fiend, going against Brock Lesnar in a top match, or feuding with Drew McIntyre. By no means is Randy Orton a jobber. He's definitely helped every single one of these guys, and I definitely think he has more in the tank. I definitely think he will be a world champion again. But, yeah, right now he's actually with Riddle. They've been together about a year. They're an incredible tag team, and it just seems Randy Orton is really starting to give back and just really wants to help younger guys. I definitely think there's going to be a breakup with them eventually. I'm really hoping Randy gets back in the title picture sometime soon. He still says he has about 8 years in the tank with WWE, so we got a while. But, yeah, guys, so it's just Randy's 20th anniversary of wrestling today, so figured I'd just make a video. I noticed I did a history video last time. You guys really seemed to like it, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, you know what to do, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.